Hi, everyone. This week we are going to be working on lesson 16 in Ready Reading, Point of View. Today we will be working on pages 256, 257, 258, 259, and 262. In this lesson, we're going to be reading both realistic and fantasy stories, and we're going to learn about point of view. And as we are reading, I'd like you to think about whether or not the narrator is also a character in the story. So remember that the narrator is the one who is telling the story, and the author is the one who writes it. And as we are reading, I would like you to think about each character and what they're thinking and what they're feeling at different points in the story. And I would like you to think about your own opinion as we're reading. So, your point of view is what you think about the story in general or about the characters, the setting, and the story events. Your point of view is personal, and it may be different from that of the narrator, the story characters, or other students. So, as we're reading, I'd also like you to think about point of view words like best, worst, like, dislike, and feel, because they provide clues about a character's feelings. And I would also like you to notice what the narrator says and does and thinks, and how he or she describes other characters, and compare that to your own point of view. How is it the same? And how is it different? So please take a look at page 256. And of course, we have our learning target here. As you read, determine if your point of view of a story is the same or different from that of the narrator and the characters. So let us continue to read. Characters are the people or animals in a story. Each character has a point of view or feeling about what is happening in the story. The narrator tells the story from the outside and describes events and actions in the story. The narrator also has a point of view. As you are reading the story, you will have your own point of view. Comparing and contrasting your point of view from the characters and the narrator's points of view will help you better understand text. As you read, ask yourself questions to help you figure out your point of view, such as who is telling the story? What do the characters think? What do I think? So let's look at the family in the cartoon below. Do all of these people feel the same way about green bean ice cream? Is Dad's point of view different from the children's? So over here, we have a girl who has a spoonful of green bean ice cream in her hand, and she's looking at it and she's smiling. And then we have Dad in the middle who says, "It's my new delicious recipe for green bean ice cream." And over here, we have a young man who has a spoonful of green bean ice cream, and kind of he's scowling at it and he looks distressed. So let us take a look at page 257 up here at the top where it says think. Using what you see in the cartoon above, complete the first row by describing how the girl, the dad, and the boy feel about green bean ice cream. In the second row, describe each character's point of view. So in this organizer, we have the girl's actions, and of course, she's smiling and she seems to be enjoying the ice cream. We're going to need to fill in the boy's actions and the dad's actions. And then the girl's point of view, of course, she thinks the ice cream is great. We're going to need to fill in the boy's point of view and the dad's point of view. And please, keeping in mind these academic words, narrator, characters, point of view, comparing and contrasting. And remember, comparing is how two things are alike. Contrasting is how two things are different. We're going to pause here, and I'm going to give you a moment to complete this organizer, and then we're going to come back and discuss it before we proceed to page 258. All right, now we're going to proceed to page 258 and this modern fantasy. So we're going to first read this together, of course, for understanding. And then I would like you to reread it in your breakout groups so that you can identify the points of view of the narrator and the characters and compare and contrast them to your own point of view. And so, as we are reading, I would also like you to clarify the meanings of words and phrases that you find confusing by looking for context clues, looking in and around certain phrases and words that might be confusing to help you better understand what it is that you're reading. And as we are proceeding through this modern fantasy, I would also like you to think about two questions. First of all, who is Alec? And is he a story character? Is he the narrator, or is he both? And who is Max? And so, again, on page 258, I'd like you to take a look also at this close reader habit box in purple. It says to underline details that show Max's and Alec's points of view. So please make sure that you have a pencil ready as we are reading this today. All right, here we go. Night Flying Friends by Sean Vincent. Starting here, paragraph 1. Last week, I was perched peacefully on my favorite branch in a tall oak tree, watching everything with my big owl eyes. Suddenly, I became aware of a strange creature flying crazily through the air nearby, swooping this way and that. What was his problem? Then the creature flew toward my branch, landed next to me, and hung upside down by his feet. That's when I saw that he was a young brown bat. Before I could say anything, he started chattering. He talked a mile a minute about all the bugs he'd just eaten and where he'd been flying. Then he said, "By the way, my name's Max. Good talking with you." A moment later, he let go of the branch and flapped off. Had I said a word? "My name is Alec," I hooted after him. Not that I cared if he knew. The next night, though, I found myself hoping Max would come back. True, his strange ways troubled me. He liked to eat mosquitoes and flies, after all, but we are both creatures of the night, and we can both fly, and it would be good to have someone to talk with. When I finally saw him, I swooped through the air toward him. "Hey, Max," I said, "want to stop by my branch after dinner?" "Sounds good," he said. Then we flew through the night together, our first flight as friends. All right, Going to page 259, you're going to find another organizer. By the green Explore, it says, how is your point of view about the characters in Night Flying Friends different from each character's view of each other? And this think bubble here says a character's point of view can change during a story, and watch for details that show this might be happening. So with this organizer, it asks, what are Alex and Max's points of view toward each other? Using evidence from the passage, complete the chart. So again, we have this organizer that talks about the actions and the points of view of each character. And in your breakout groups, you will be completing this organizer. And then proceeding to page 262 for this short response, what is your point of view about each of the characters? Is your point of view the same or different from those of Max and Alec? Support your answer with details from the text. And the orange hint says, what do Alec and Max realize about each other? And what do you think? And page 262 looks like this. And this is where you will offer your short response. And again, you will be working on this in your breakout groups. And I will be visiting your groups to take any questions and offer any points of clarification.